All right, awesome. It's good stuff. So Faith is the superwoman, the CSP leader in our division, over $340,000 career sales. I believe she's over $3,000 for this week, or just under $3,000. Just recently had a $5,000 or almost $6,000 sales week, doing a tremendous job leading the division. And also she's a part of our events training program. So she is actually the person who trains all of our people that work at the Utah State Fair, the Washington County Fair, the Iron County Fair, the Salt Lake County Fair, and some of those events are being changed, postponed, and moved. She helps train our representatives in service calls. She also helps train our representatives in all the events that happen, like home shows and trade shows and Christmas and holiday expos and things like that. And she also ran a very successful branch office. One of the reasons why she's a great representative is because she learned how to do it as a sales rep, and then she trained sales reps to do it. And now she's a tremendous force in the division and even in the central region. So she's going to role play straight up, pretty much. She might break character once or twice or thrice or more. That's up to her. But she's going to literally role play how to build the like list. How many of you are already excited to know how to build the like list? And I'm going to stop sharing my screens, and we're going to spotlight Faith. Where's Faith? I got to find Faith. Where's she at? Oh, there you are. Hold on. I got you. Mother Russia. All right. So here we go. Spotlight Faith. And then we've got Emily is going to be our customer. So hopefully you guys can find Emily. I don't know if there's a way to spotlight or secondarily spotlight. I'm not going to spotlight Emily. I'm going to mostly spotlight Faith. Yeah. And,
so Phil, I'm just gonna share my screen. I'm just gonna do a normal demo.
Yep.
So
get it. You're good.
I wish all my clients wrote a novel about me after every visit. That lady's she's a published author, so that's why she probably said that many nice things about me. She's a really, really cool lady. Look her up. She has a book out. You can read it. You'll be super inspired. So before we start role playing this, I just want to take 1 minute and go over some really, really important things. People that have Cutco already, I hear this way too often when reps are like, oh, they already have a homemaker. What am I going to sell them? Well, every time I get a client, when I call them and they're like, oh yeah, I already have a homemaker, I'm probably not going to buy anything. I'm like, yes, that means it's going to be a guaranteed sell. Seriously, you should not be deciding that they're going to buy before you give your clients the opportunity to decide that for themselves. Okay, so don't say no, even if they already have Cutco, because they're going to be a guaranteed sale if they already have Cutco. Okay. Basically your job, the only thing you're doing in any appointment is just helping them make a buying decision and giving them the confidence to say yes. Okay. So when they already have Cutco, it's like, you should say a silent prayer of gratitude because they already sold on it. All you're doing is figuring out what it is that they need. So I'm going to share my screen right now. Do I know how to do this? Yes, I do. Host disabled participant screen sharing. Phil, you got to fix that for me. So Emily's going to be Mrs. Jones. We're going to start from the part after the video. We just watched the video. We already established she had some Cutco. So right now we're just creating a wish list is what we're doing. We're going to create a wish list. Emily, Mrs. Jones, has a Homemaker +8. That's what she already owns. She's a bad asteroids baller shot caller because she already is ahead of the game. She's already invested in some Cutco. So we're going to go from there.
Shot caller, you can share screens now.
I can share my screen now. Okay, cool. So share this. Someone tell me if you can see this. Yes? Boom. Yes. Okay, awesome. Okay, so Emily, you already have a Homemaker, right?
Yes, I do, and I love it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What's been your favorite pieces?
I would say a spatula. I didn't know about the spatula until a little bit ago, and I did it for the longest time. And then I had a sales rep come over and tell me about the spatula and it's good for sandwiches. Fell in love. Yeah. Right. Like that butcher knife, I think you call it. I see on here. I love that one. I love my chopper.
Oh, nice. Okay, your chef knife, you mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Gotcha. I use that every day. And then I also like the that small utility knife, like a trimmer.
Yeah. The trimmer or the paring knife? Or both?
The trimmer. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The trimmer.
Nice. So it sounds like you've really got a lot of good use out of your Homemaker, yeah?
Yeah, I love it.
That's good. When you first bought your Cutco, where you're like, oh my gosh, why are we spending this much money?
harshly. I thought we were going crazy, but
yeah. But are you glad you did it?
Yes. Yeah.
For
Absolutely.
sure. That's cool. Well, what I want to do with you right now, Emily, is we're going to create a wish list. Okay. Now,
Okay.
keep in mind, a wish list is not a buy list. Okay. It's just a list of things you could see yourself using. Basically, if Cutco is falling from the sky, handles first, of course, what would you run and pick up? Okay. So I'm going to take notes on my end, on my side of the screen. If you want to go ahead and write down a list yourself, that way we can stay transparent. I'm going to have you write down the prices as well. That would be awesome. Okay. So I have a piece of paper. Can you hear it? You hear my paper?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you see a knife that you think you would use, I want you to write it down. Okay. Are you familiar with the upgrade program? Has anyone ever explained that to you?
No. Mm-mm.
Okay, cool. So it's really awesome. Would it be okay if I took 30 seconds to explain it to you?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So basically what it is Cutco, you choose a larger set that you think you would use. And you're only purchasing the knives that you don't own. Okay, so Cutco actually will credit you for the knives that you already own. Now, the cool thing about the upgrade program, Emily, is that Cutco credits you for the retail value of the knives, not for the price that you purchased them 30 years ago. Okay, so yeah, they're gonna hook you up. Okay, so just so you know, you already own about $1,300 worth of Cutco. Okay, so that. Yeah, you spent what, $700, maybe $600 30 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've tripled or you've doubled your value. Pretty awesome, huh?
It's amazing. I'll take it.
I know, right? So tell me, Emily, what do you cook the most of?
We love to grill. So like chicken, and we also do so a lot of chicken. We also like hamburger. We like some pastas, but not nearly as much pastas. You know, my husband's like steak guy. So
Okay. You guys smoke? Do you have a smoker, like a Traeger?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's awesome. And how often are you using that?
Over the summer, at least 2 to 3 times a week.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Okay. So how many meals would you say you're preparing every day?
Daily?
Yeah.
Anywhere between 1 and 3, depending on which day.
Okay, cool. Now, I know you said some of your kids already graduated. How many kids do you still have at home?
2.
2? Okay, awesome. So I'm going to pause right here. So notice, guys, I'm qualifying her right now. I'm not trying to sell her anything yet. I'm figuring out what it is that she needs. So the best way you're going to sell any of your clients is to sell them what they need, not what you need them to need. Do I want her to buy an Ultimate? Do I think she'd use it? Yeah. She cooks 1 to 3 times a day. Who's not going to use an Ultimate if they cook that much? But right now, I'm finding out what it is that she needs, and I'm helping her figure out what it is that she needs, guys. Keep that in mind. Needs, not what you need them to need, okay? Okay, so Emily, what I want you to do right now, you can see you're on this website. You click Explore, you go to Accessories. You see this list of knives here?
Yeah, yep.
Okay, so I want you to create an imaginary line in between the Hardy Slicer and the carving fork. You see that?
Yeah.
That's the set you have. That's the homemaker right there. Okay. So we have 2 other set options. There's the family set. It has 2 extra table knives, and then it has some of our customer requested pieces. And then we have the cry once, buy one set. Okay. We call that the set. Okay. Now, the reason I love that set is because imagine never having to buy another knife for the rest of your life. I know that would be nice, right? So based on what you've told me, there's a few pieces I think you would really use, okay? And I want you to go ahead and write this down on your wish list. The first one is the Hardy Slicer. So that we call the bad boy, Emily, and guess what? Every woman needs a bad boy in her kitchen, okay? So that is going to be for your frozen meats. It's really good for scoring meats. It's great if you guys have a Traeger. That's going to be one of your most used pieces. Really, really good for cubing chicken. Okay, that would be something you would literally use every day. That's almost my most used piece. Okay, do you think you would use that?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, your next one is going to be that Santoku knife. You see that right there?
Yeah.
Okay, so you told me, Emily, that one of your favorite pieces is just the chef knife.
Yeah.
When you're preparing, how many times do you have to rinse it off because you've just used it and you have to use it to cut something else? How many times are you washing it or rinsing it?
Like maybe 2, 3 times.
Yeah, really annoying. Okay. So having an extra chef knife is going to save you a lot of time in the kitchen. Would you agree with that?
I could see that.
For sure.
And
Okay.
more so just
So,
when my husband and I are cooking together.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That would be good too. You don't want to fight over the chef knife, right?
No, that gets annoying really quickly.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. Okay, so there's really two options here. You have your Santoku knife and you have your vegetable knife. Looking at both those knives, what do you think you would use more? Or would you use both?
What's the vegetable knife for?
So the veggie knife is specifically for soups, salads, and stews, okay? It's also a little bit wider, so it's easier to transfer your foods. It's also a little bit heavier, so you can use it on larger things like your squashes or anything that's a little bit denser. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So would you use both?
As like a chopping knife?
Yep. You use it in the exact same way. You can pick it up and chop up and down, or you can rock it up and down. It's totally up to you.
I'd probably say the vegetable knife for sure, you know, and then if I feel like I actually needed another, then I'd go for Santoku, but probably vegetable knife.
If both were raining down from the sky with handles, would you grab both or just one of them?
Yeah, I'd grab both of them. Why not?
Okay, let's write down both. Okay. Okay, and then the last one you don't have that I think you would really, really use is that cheese knife. Okay, now, Emily, that's not just for cheese. Okay, that thing's for anything sticky or starchy. So tomatoes, apples, oranges, lemons, limes, really obviously your big blocks of cheese. Do you guys shop at Costco?
Yeah.
You guys buy those big blocks?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine just straight through the plastic, just boom, cut it straight.
For reals?
And yeah, for reals. I'm not lying to you. It's seriously like you might pee your pants the first time you do it. Seriously. I'm not joking, man. Like it's freaking awesome. It's a great experience. Do you think you'd use that if you had it?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Cool. That's
Does
awesome.
it come in a bigger size?
The cheese knife, nope. That's the only size. That's called the traditional cheese knife. So what we found is that's the one that people will use the most. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is
Cool.
awesome.
Now, next question I have for you, Emily, is you right now have 8 table knives. Cutco recommends that you have 2 table knives per member of the household. Do you guys entertain at all, or is it just you and your 2 kids at home and then you and your spouse?
It's usually just us. I mean, occasionally we'll have like extra kids come back, you know, and visit and we'll have family dinner or something like that.
Right. Okay, cool. So do you feel like right now you have enough table knives, or do you think you could use more if you had them?
I would say we could definitely use more.
Okay. Do you need 6, 8, or 12 more?
I'd say minimum 4.
4 more. Okay.
Yeah, I think if we had 4 more, it'd cover a lot more than, I think that would round it off really nicely. If I ended up having more, I don't know if it'd be too much or if I'd still want more. I don't know.
Cool. Okay, well, we can start with 4 for now. Okay, so I've suggested a few pieces to you based on what you see in front of you on your screen. Is there any other pieces that you think you would use or any other pieces you want me to explain?
The boning knife, that looks good.
Yeah, the boning knife's awesome. So that's a very specific knife. You saying that you smoke a lot, you guys have a Traeger, that would actually be a piece you'd probably use every time you're smoking. So it's just for raw meats, obviously for deboning your stuff. So the thing is, you don't really want to hit it on the cutting board. You just want to make sure that when you're using it, you're using it just for raw meats. Do you think you'd use that one if you had it?
I think so. I mean, we just do tons with meat, so I think that would be a good one.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. So now that we're done with the knives, what I want you to do is at the top of your screen, click Explore, and then go down to Accessories. Okay.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do right now is go through these slides. Okay. And then again, on your side of the screen, if you see anything that you think you'd use, I want you to let me know so I can write it down on my side so I can give you a good deal. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to pause right here. Notice, guys, this whole time, I haven't tried to sell her anything. Every single time she has told me that she would use it, that she would want it, and she would buy it. Okay. So that makes it so when you ask for the order, what are they going to say?
Sorry. So great. I forgot I was off mute.
Yeah, they would say yes. Okay. So I'm out of time for my talk. The rest of you guys, when you do this, all you're doing is clicking through these slides and doing exactly what I've been doing. Just asking them if they would use it. Okay. You go over these things.
Give us 3 minutes. We got to see it.
Okay.
Could you?
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
All right.
Okay, so we're gonna go through these blocks or through these slides, Mrs. Jones, Emily. Anytime you see something you'd use, I want you to go ahead and stop me. Okay. So as far as blocks go, do you like having your Cutco on your counter? Do you like having it in the block?
Yeah, on a block. Yeah, on a block for sure.
Okay, cool. So the block that you would need, because you already see that middle one right there. That's the homemaker block. That's the one you already have. The blocks that you would need is a little bit bigger. I'm going to write it down for you. I can show it to you later. But I've written down the size of the block you need. It's called the complete block. Okay, so go ahead and write that down on your side, the complete block. Okay. You go to the next slide here. Now, these specialty knives, Cutco actually designed these because they were customer requested. So for example, we made the cleaver because people are like, oh, I'm trying to use my chef knife, but it's not going to go through, you know, bones or frozen meat or a coconut. Okay. So we designed the cleaver. Okay. So all of these knives you see right here are customer requested. Are there any knives you see in this picture that you think you would use? I know we already wrote down the Santoku knife, the veggie knife, the bad boy, and the boning knife. So the only other one that's missing here is the cleaver. Do you think you use
what's the knife that you'd use on like heavy squash?
So I would use the butcher knife, which you already own, to separate it. If you're trying to cube it, then I would use the Hardy slicer. Okay.
Okay.
If you're not super strong, then you could use the cleaver. So it might be something that you would use for sure. But right now, you already have the tools that would use. You can see in that picture right there, they're using the veggie knife and the Hardy slicer. You see that?
Oh, okay. Okay.
So do you think you'd use the cleaver if you had it, or it's too big for you?
Maybe not. That would probably be when we come back to.
Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and go to the next one. We already talked about table knives, so we don't have to spend time on that. Now, this is my favorite slide. And let me tell you why. Would it be ridiculous if I took 30 seconds to tell you why this is my favorite?
No, go for it.
Okay. So Cutco, when you buy Cutco, it's an investment. You understand that. You spent $700 on your set 30 years ago. Okay. Now, when people buy these gadgets for Cutco, these pay for themselves really, really quickly. Really, really quickly. This is the smartest buy you could get when you're buying Cutco knives. Okay. The knives are kind of the bread and butter, which is probably why you don't own these and you've never heard of them. Okay. But let me ask you this. How many pizza cutters did you buy in the last decade because they keep breaking?
Or disappearing because we throw, probably, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know, 5 plus.
Right. What about your ice cream scoop? How often does it stop working?
I don't buy ice cream scoops because of that, because I don't believe any actually do anything better than my spoon. And then I bend them and then I just
right. Yeah. You and the rest of the world, Emily. You and the rest of the world. Right? So you know Cutco works, right?
Yeah.
You've had it now for 3 decades.
Yeah.
Yeah. So our ice cream scoop is literally gold. Okay. I think it's the best thing we make. Okay. So out of these pieces you see here, so we have the pizza cutter, the ice cream scoop, and the peeler. We already have the cheese knife written down. Do you think you'd use all of them or just a few of them?
Probably all of them. What makes your ice cream scoop cool though? Like why
awesome.
Work?
Okay. So I'll give you some scientific since you're an engineer. Okay. So you know how a lot of ice cream scoops have thermal or antifreeze inside them?
I didn't realize that was it. I know there's the other where they shake the handle and then they.
Yeah. So there's actually antifreeze inside of that. Can you fathom that? That's crazy. So the reason why is because it melts your ice cream quicker. It works really nice until it leaks out and slowly poisons you and kills your family. Just kidding. That's not what happens.
Oh my.
It's not going to kill you, but it's obviously not healthy for you. Okay. So the Cutco, there's actually a metal that we use that reacts to the heat of your hand. Okay. It's also really, really thin edge. So it's not going to cut you. It's not sharp, but it's really thin. So it carves your ice cream. Okay. It's also pretty heavy. It's a really heavy ice cream scoop. When you have this, when you're holding it in your hand, when it ships to your house in 2 weeks, you're going to be like, whoa, that's impressive. Okay. So that's a little bit about what makes it different. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. So do you want to go ahead and add that to your list? Write that down.
Yes. Yeah. I do that, the vegetable peeler, and probably do also do the pizza cutter. That's cool.
Okay. So let's go to the next slide here. I know you have a meeting in 1 minute, so we'll keep going. We already have the cheese knife down there. Okay. Now this can opener. Okay. We actually designed this for people that have a hard time gripping things, for people with arthritis. It's really, the mechanics on the inside are really smooth. Okay. So do you know what a number 10 can is?
Yeah, it's the big ones. Yeah, the big.
Yeah, you're a Mormon, right? So you would know. I'm kidding. So those big cans they sell at Costco, right? So literally like an 8-year-old can open a number 10 can with this thing. I've seen it in real life. Okay, it's super, super smooth. Okay. Do you feel like you'd use this?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's write that down. And then the wine opener. I know you have crazy parties every weekend. Would you use this for yourself?
Probably not.
Okay, cool. Let's go on to the next one. Okay, flatware. Phil, do you want me to keep going or?
That's affirmative.
Okay, cool. Okay, so this flatware, Emily, is glorious. When you look at that, what does it look like to you?
It just looks really pretty. It looks really nice. I actually like the style of that.
Yeah. So the cool thing about the flatware is we've actually designed it to be timeless. A lot of people look at this and they're like, you know, that looks too fancy for me. Well, don't worry, it's guaranteed forever. So you shouldn't only use it when you're having a party or a wedding or something fancy. Okay, you use it every single day, just like your normal forks and spoons. But the good part of this flatware is it's guaranteed forever. You're only buying it one time. It's no matter what happens, so it'll replace it for free forever. Okay. So is this something you could see yourself using, the flatware?
Maybe it'd probably be something I'd want to talk to my husband about and really see if we wanted to invest in new flatware. But I didn't know Cutco actually made flatware, so that could be.
Yeah. So the knives are the bread and butter of Cutco, right? There's a lot of things that you don't know about, which is exactly why I want to go through this with you. Okay. It would be an injustice. I think I'd shed a tear if I go to bed tonight and I don't show you all this. Okay. Okay. So this is what we're going to do then. We're going to write this down on your wish list just so you can see the price. If you want to go ahead and purchase it today, you can. If you don't want to, it's totally fine. Okay. So let's just go ahead and write this down. Flatware. And go to the next slide. Okay, wellness mats. Wellness mats are glorious. I don't know if these are available right now, Phil. Are they available?
They are.
Oh, cool. Okay, so Emily, you cook a lot. You told me sometimes you're cooking 1 to 3 meals a day, right?
Yeah.
That's nuts, okay? So I don't know what you use in your kitchen if you already have something to stand on, but imagine standing on a cloud every single time you're chopping squash.
And we have a rug.
Yeah, you have a rug, okay. Does that rug feel like a cloud or does it feel like a rug?
It does not feel like a cloud.
Okay. Okay. So Cutco is actually paired with wellness mats. They're super high quality, just like Cutco. You can see some of the what makes them awesome right here on the slide, okay? So they're not gonna slip around when you stand on them. They're actually puncture and heat resistant. Okay. And they stain and they don't get dirty half as fast. Okay. So with your rug, you probably wash it once a week. With wellness mats, you don't have to do that. Okay. Also, you're not going to trip on them. So when grandma comes over, she's not going to trip over and break her hip and have to use her life alert. Okay. They have they have that beveled edge. Okay. So you're not going to trip. No one's going to trip on it. Okay. And then obviously Cutco is high quality. Wellness mats are high quality. So the materials they use to make it are much safer. Okay. And then they're also antimicrobial. So if you spill something on it, it's not going to get stuck in there. It's not going to smell nasty. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Cool. Okay. So how many of these do you need in your kitchen?
You have any like bigger ones, or is that like the only size?
So we have runners that are really long. I think I'm not sure the length on them. I might have to call my manager. But yeah, they're probably the longest one we have is 6 feet. The Holy Ghost just whispered in my ear 6 feet. So yeah, her name's Emily DeShong, by the way. That's the Holy Ghost. So yeah, we have a 6 foot runner. Would you use the longer runner or would you use the smaller one like this?
I mean, depending on like how it all totals up. Ideally, I'd probably have like a 6 foot one, and then I have a little spot at the end. I could another like mini counter we use, so I'd probably do just one of the small ones.
Gotcha. Okay, so 2 smalls and 1 6 foot. That's awesome.
Could you use these like in the garage?
Yeah, you can use them anywhere. So just like I said, Cutco's guaranteed. These are too. Okay, so these actually have a 20-year warranty. And it takes a lot. These are super high quality. So it takes a lot to break these or ruin these, just like it does your Cutco. Okay. And of course, guaranteed, so it's not something you have to worry about. Okay. Okay. So we're going to go to the next slide here. Outdoor stuff. Okay. So do you garden at all? Just say no for time.
As often.
Not as often. So like once a year with grandma.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ideally, I'd love to get out and garden more, but I don't.
Okay. Do you think if you spent money on your garden tools and owned Cutco garden tools, it would help you garden more?
I mean, yeah, cooking in the kitchen, we have the right tools. It makes a big difference. I think that I probably just hate gardening because I've had things break on me, or like they just don't do the job, or like it's just harder to do. So Perhaps. I mean, that would be something I'd consider investing in, but.
Cool. Okay, so let's write it down. Garden tools, so you can see the price. All right, next slide here. It's a video. Okay, so last slide here. How many weddings do you have coming up, or birthdays, things like that you would give Cutco as a gift?
And out of all the weddings and everything I attend, I don't go massively big for everyone, but I'd probably say 2 to 3 a year. I do like nicer gifts, like on a different level.
Okay. So how much are you normally spending per gift for a wedding?
On average for some, it's usually like $30 to $40, but on like general ones. But I'd say perhaps on like the nicer ones, I go from $150 to $200.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. So how many weddings do you have this summer, or gifts this summer, where you're trying to spend $30 to $40?
I'll probably say 4 to 5 more.
4 to 5, and then the $150 to $200 range, how many?
2.
2. Cool. Okay. Perfect. Is that our last slide? Okay, awesome. Okay, so we're gonna end there. Every single time I do this with a client, I write down everything. Okay, so I write it down and I write the price right next to it so I can see. Jesse right now is going to talk about closing. And so that would be cool, Jesse, if you could just close on everything we just sold Emily. You can just go straight across the board. I can take a picture of this and send it to you if you want. So that'd be cool. Or if you were listing, maybe you would know. Anyway, so just keep in mind, guys, keep in mind, the most important thing about building a wish list is the fact of putting no pressure on them. They don't feel like they have to buy it if they write it down. But the cool thing about writing it down is they're more likely to purchase it. The other thing I want you to remember, if you remember nothing that I've talked about all day today, if there's nothing you remember except this, it's give them what they need, not what you need them to need. Okay, sell them what they need. Don't try and sell them an ultimate because you think they can afford it or because they have 19 kids. Okay, don't sell them an ultimate because you think they need it. Sell them a big wish list because they actually need it and they think they need it too. Also, you need to make sure you sell them what would be a good fit for their family, not just to send you on your mission or pay for your first semester of college or pay for your trip to Costa Rica like I'm trying to do, okay? You always need to have the needs of Mrs. Jones in your mind because you'll come off as not salesy. They're going to say yes when you ask for the order. And Jesse's going to talk more about that. Emily, thanks for being Mrs. Jones.
Thanks for being awesome.
Gosh. That was phenomenal. That was glorious. That, as Faith would say, it was glorious and timeless, by the way, because we recorded it. Other than price references. But that was absolutely awesome, Faith. Thank you so much. I had to let you keep going because that's exactly what I needed when I was a rep on how to help customers make a bigger like list because it gave me room to drop down. And I'm going to just, turn the time over to Jesse, who, again, one of the best district managers in the entire central region, such a tremendous attitude, such a tremendous trainer. He's trained 3 All-American scholarships in the 2 years he's been a district manager. That's really, really impressive, Jesse. And I don't want to take any longer. Can everyone see the screen with Jesse on the side of Donut Falls in Salt Lake City? Can everyone see that? Yes? Yes? Somebody? Tristan, yes? Ashley, you can see it? Okay, good. All right, Jesse, you can feel free to hijack my screen. I'll unshare, and I'm going to let you share, and I'll be Bono. You can be Cher. Okay, it's some old singers if you guys don't know. Cher and Bono. All right, awesome. Jesse Cordell Jorgensen going to show, what lovely slides. You and Nick with these. Do you guys have a publisher? Is that what you guys have? Some sort
Slide
of
Carnival.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Let's rock it. You got about 15-ish, right, Jesse?
Ooh, all right. I better hustle then. Okay,
Let's
you guys
do
can see
it.
my slides, okay?
We can see your screen.
All right, excellent. Are you looking at my screen?
We see your slides.
Oh, okay, cool. Excellent. So, thank you first of all for making the decision to be here, and I'm going to give you some goods on closing. Before we do that, though, I want to talk a little bit about push mindset and what I've learned over the past couple of years in coaching people to do excellent at pushes. In fact, believe in the last 3 years, all of my assistant managers have always been number one at SC1 as assistant managers, and we've always had top people at SC2. And there's a couple reasons for that, but I kind of want to go over some push period mindset. So here we go. So how many of you have experienced, by the way, selling during like a normal week of the summer, you sell a lot of kako, but then all of a sudden when it becomes a push period, you choke? Does anybody know what I'm talking about? Like you just totally just fall over. And by the way, that happens all the time. And I want to talk about a couple reasons why. So you sell more in like a normal week than you did during the push period. What was the difference? Fear. And a couple reasons, by the way, because during a push, we tell you that we talk about how successful you're going to be and what this is going to do for you and all of that. And there's a couple of things, there are a couple of places that you operate from in fear and not doing as well during a push period as you might do during a normal week in the summer when there's not as much pressure, so to speak, to do well. Number one is there's fear of not being good enough. And there's also fear of being great. Some of you feel like you don't deserve to be great. Emily talked about that a little bit earlier. Some of you also are worried that you're not going to be good enough. And what happens is all throughout the push, you like put in the work, but you do like 98% of the work, but you leave the 2% out. And I'll tell you why in a second. But first of all, I want to tell you a quick story about self-sabotage. So we're going to go back 20 years to 6-year-old Jesse going to kindergarten. The bus used to stop by the house. My house actually was the bus stop. And I remember as a 6-year-old, I missed the bus probably 2 out of 3 days that I ever went to school because I would get like anxious, nervous butterflies. So I would make the excuse that I had to go to the bathroom. And then I would just stay there until I accidentally missed the bus. And it was like, oh, darn it, I accidentally missed the bus. And then the neighbor lady would have to like drive me to school. And here's the thing, like so many times, like, and why that happened, by the way, is because it was fear of the unknown. It was fear of things, so that I self-sabotaged myself because there was another option. And a lot of times in our lives, we're okay being mediocre and we're afraid to be great, or we're afraid that we're not going to be enough. And so we're okay with being mediocre. You don't think you are worthy for the success, and the fear of not being good enough also cripples your ability to close. So for example, I've had a couple of times where I've had representatives go out there, do a bunch of demos during the push, do 30 or 40 demos even, and they don't sell what they were supposed to sell. Because what happens is during the push period, you're like, if I don't hit my goal, what if I do 40 demos and I don't sell 10,000? What if I do 50 or 60 demos and I don't sell 10 or 15 or $20,000 worth of kako? What then? And you think the if then statement is, then I will be a failure. So what happens is during the push period, during your closing, you hold back. And then at the end of everything, when all is said and done, if you didn't hit your goal, you're not going to, you're trying to counteract the feeling of, if you were to give it, because if you gave it everything that you had and you got to the end of the push period and you still didn't hit your goal, you're afraid that you would feel that it's like, I'm not good enough. I'm not enough. And that's like your fear, right? Our genuine fear deep down is that we are not enough. And you're afraid that that would be the case if you gave it everything. So therefore you don't give it everything. So at the end of the push period, you're like, well, I worked really hard. I gave it almost everything. But that last little bit was what killed your results, because you didn't give it 100%, because at the end of the day, you were worried about you being enough, when in reality, you need to understand two things: that a push is a journey of growth and self-discovery, and your self-worth is not determined by the success of this push. So I want you to understand, I want you to push hard. I want you to grow beyond what you ever think is possible. I want you to blow past, I want you to have a breakthrough. But you got to understand that when all is said and done, it actually does, what matters most is not about the CPO that you achieved. It's about the growth that you've gained in your longer journey, in that it's not about it's not about selling 10 or 15 or $20,000. It is, because of what it's going to do for your bank account and do for you and your confidence and your skill level. But it's about the person that you become in the process. And so I just wanted to preface that. Now, what does that have to do with closing? Well, it's because Well, first of all, I wanted to share with you a quote by Tony Robbins. Stop being afraid of what could go wrong, which, by the way, all of you right now are like, what could go wrong during the push? What if this doesn't go right? Doesn't go well. What if this goes wrong? And start being excited of what could go right. What if you accidentally had multiple $1,000 orders? What if you closed on 90% of all the demos that you did? What if all the good things? And when you start focusing on those positive things, those anxieties will melt away, and you'll understand you'll have hard times, but it's not going to impact you like it would if you're worried about what's going wrong instead of focused and excited of what's going right. By the way, anxiety and excitement are the same emotion. Nervousness and excitement are the same emotion. It's how we interpret them in our brain. So if you can go, oh man, I'm super nervous, like I'm freaking out right now, you can reprogram your brain to say, actually, I'm just excited about what's going to happen. I'm excited about the unknown. And understanding that thought pattern is important when you're going into a close or 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 demos. And the reason I bring all this up, by the way, is because mindset is greater than minutia, meaning that your mindset rolling into closing is more important than like the technique or the skills that you use. Now, those are crucially important, but mindset needs to be in play first. I love what Faith just did. That was an excellent talk on wish list building, probably the best I've ever seen. I hope you understand that. I've seen a lot of wish list talks. So Faith, excellent work there. But when you were brand new, by the way, you went out and sold a bunch of Kako, right? I'm going to assume that most of you probably hit your first promotion first weekend, because when you were brand new, your closing skills weren't great. They were probably terrible. If you were to go back and see your first presentations, you'd probably throw up a little bit. I know I would with mine. But the reason that you sold a lot of Kako is because you were fired up and it was all about your mindset. You were expecting to sell. So we're going to talk a little bit about that mindset as well. And I'm going to give you some nuts and bolts as we go. So a couple keys to closing that you're going to want to write down. Probably heard them before. Number one, kiss your customer. I'm just kidding. No, keep it super simple, or keep it stupid simple, or keep it simple stupid, or keep it simple smarty, whatever you want. There's a million variations of that, but really keep it simple and drop down slowly. It really comes to just dropping down slowly. Make sure you do a great review with whatever option you're presenting and have them write down the prices. The biggest thing that I see with representatives, not closing correctly is that the confidence or the clarity was missing. Because sometimes we babble all over ourselves as we're dropping down instead of giving them clear, concise, here's what you're getting, here's what you're paying. If you get it today, how does that sound? Instead, we're all over the place. And so the more clear and concise you can keep your close, the better. By the way, what is all the babbling a symptom of? Is the symptom of the fact that you don't know your close, which means you need to memorize that process and memorize the process of dropping down, whatever that is for you. All right, a couple reasons that reps don't sell. All right, I talked about this during my my SC1 talk, but I think that this is going to be important for you. Here we go. Number one, are you letting past demos define your perspective? Sometimes we let seeds, I put seeds on one of my earlier sites. Sometimes we let little seeds of doubt plant within our minds, and we focus on what could go wrong instead of being excited about what could go right. And so, are you letting your past demos define you? Are you letting that one lady who said some weird thing about how she doesn't like, Kako, or she doesn't like the handle or whatever, that happens once every, 200 demos, and you just happen to get one, letting her affect your ability to close? Or are you letting the one lady that said, well, I don't give referrals to people, affect your ability to ask for referrals on your next presentation? So are you letting your past demos define your perspective? Are you confident in Kako? And if you're not, you need to go to kako.com. You need to read reviews. If you're not, you need to get a hold of some Kako and cut up a lot of food. If you're not confident in Kako, call me. I will pump you up and we'll get you there. But people buy Kako all the time. You need to be confident in the fact that people spend money. We're going to talk about the 6 Kako myths and normal objections that you get and why those actually mean nothing. All right, are you focused on the customer? So many times representatives, when we're dropping down, we're like, ooh, me. I feel uncomfortable. She told me no. I'm afraid to ask for the order again. Oh, see what you're doing there? It's all about you instead of being customer focused. Because if you were actually focused on what she needed, just like Faith said, not selling her what you want her to need, selling her what she actually needs. By the way, we do that in normal presentations by dropping down, but we're still going to confidently ask for the homemaker set every single time. but are you focused on helping the customer get what they need? Next, are you showing up to demos to see what happens? This is the worst thing that you can do. A lot of you have 10, 15, even 20 presentations in front of you this week. Do not show up to those presentations and just see what happens. Your job is to serve the customer. Your job is to get orders. Your job is actually to serve your customer by helping them get Cacao and get all the Cacao that they can get and afford for the budget that they're going to use. If you just show up to see what happens, your closing percentage is going to be terrible and you're going to feel disappointed and discouraged. Are you following the manual? You know, Matthew and I had an interesting discussion yesterday, and I hope he doesn't mind that I'm being a little bit open with this, but you know, Matthew had added a lot of these things into his presentation that he thought made him better, and we kind of told him that he could. And then he said this interesting thing. He's like, yeah, dude, I just read the manual on one of my presentations, and they're the ones that bought Cacao. And I was like, huh, how many times do we start getting too much into our own manual or like our own heads about what we're explaining and what we're showing instead of just like, keep it simple. People sell homemakers in 4 to 5 minutes at a booth. Like, you don't really need to go into like that much detail about a lot of the stuff. Customers need to know that it's American made, it's forever guaranteed. They're never gonna have to buy knives ever again, and that it is amazing. All right, here we go. Objection cycle. Let's talk about this. I know I'm moving really quickly, but I got a lot of content that I want to cover. So when it comes to the objection cycle, so many times, right, one of the things that you forget to do when you close, because you're focused on yourself, not on the customer, you forget to handle people's objections, or you feel too nervous to. But really handling objections isn't pushy. It's helping the customer, like it's handling the excuses that they give you, and we'll talk about why in a second. But I first want to tell you about the 3 to 5 second rule. Some of you may have heard of before. When somebody gives you an objection, Jesse, I can't afford the homemaker set, that's just too much for my budget. Yeah, I completely understand, Mrs. Jones. Right? Do you notice how there's little and I waited 3 to 5 seconds before I responded. See, customers don't like to feel handled. They need to feel understood. People that feel handled feel like they're being pushed into a sale. People that feel understood feel like they're being served. Like there's being service provided to them. Right, then you want to repeat the objection to show that you listened actively. So what I'm hearing, Mrs. Jones, you said that's just too much for your budget right now. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Hey, Mrs. Jones. And then you want to agree with their feelings, not agree with what they're saying, but agree with their feelings. Show empathy. You know, hey, Mrs. Jones, or, you know, show that you can imagine what it would like being in their shoes. Hey, Mrs. Jones, I completely understand where you're coming from. You know, 1326 is a bit of money to spend all at once. And then offer the solution. However is a very important word. However, that's actually why most of our customers do split it up over 5 months. It'd only be $285 today. And you'd never have to buy knives ever again. You know, and that comes out to be like, $285. You know, it comes out to be like $70 a week, Mrs. Jones. So, you know, how does that sound? And then you ask for the order again. By the way, there's nothing pushy about that. It's like, hey, I understand where you're coming from. I also understand this. What do you think? No, still too much? Hey, no big deal. And as long as you let the objections roll off of your back, it's like, hey, no big deal, Mrs. Jones. You know, no problem. Let me show you another option. As long as you do that, as long as it rolls off your back, it's never pushy. Okay, but what happens is when it gets pushy is when you go, huh? Oh, okay, well, let me show you another option. And then you're focused on you, not the customer. All right, here we go. Handling major objections. Number 1, it's too much money. It's not too much money. You need to understand what too much money means is that's too much money today. You know, too much money today, or for like the knives. Like there's kind of a difference there. It's not too much money today. It's just that they need the right price value combination, which we'll talk about in a second. But it's not too much money because they go to Costco right afterwards and spend $500. Any mom can afford a trimmer. You can sell 90% of the time, I promise, because any mom can afford a trimmer. Because if I can walk into Costco and buy a handful of groceries and accidentally spend $80, and like I'm like buying stupid, you know, just a handful of snacks here and there, $80, any mom can do that before they go camping. Like $80 is nothing for them to be able to throw down on a $76 trimmer, for them to be able to have a piece of Cacao. But too much money means it's too much for what they're looking at, or they just wouldn't see the value. And so you need to find the right price to value combination. Also, can't afford it. Can't afford it like today. You know, by the way, when people say I'll buy in the future, it means I like Cacao, I will buy, but I want to buy with future money because today's deal isn't the right amount of value. So it's the same thing where as you're dropping down, you know, it's never too much money as long as they're getting the right price to value combination. People don't buy price, people buy value, and you've got to understand that. You need to think about it. Never take a promise order. Okay, never take a promise order. It's always better to sell something than to sell nothing, because that something will lead to a bigger sale later on. For example, I had a gentleman one time buy an ultimate set from me, no questions asked. He bought a petite carver online because a friend told him Cutco was good, and walked up into the booth where I was and said, how much is that ultimate set? And I told him, he said, great, I'll take one and I'll take like 4 of these things. He'd had a petite carver for a year and nobody had ever told him about the guarantee. He just loved Cutco. So help them get something. Also, you know, I need to think about it. Hey, Mr. Jones, is 3 weeks enough time to think about it? Cool. That's why most of our customers actually, you know, that's why we have our 15-day money back guarantee. So you can try it out for 15 days and make sure that you love it. But you got to understand that like too much money, you know, and I can't afford it are actually, if you ever hear somebody say it's too expensive means you didn't do a good enough job building the value. If anybody ever tells you it's too much money, like for their budget, or they just can't afford it, that just means you need to drop down, you know, show them a 5-pay option, give them the right value. I can't afford it means I don't see the value, enough value in that option to justify spending that much money. Not that I don't have the money to spend. Understand that there is a difference there. Customers say definitive things on accident. And this is my favorite one that Phil taught me. I need to talk to my husband. Hey, Mrs. Jones, I completely understand. You got to make purchases with your spouse. However, you know, I'm able to give you the deals today. And Mrs. Jones, I'm going to tell you that you getting Cutco today is 10 times better than anything I could ever tell you, and 100 times better than anything you could ever tell your husband. So what do you think, Mrs. Jones? You want to go ahead and get it today, and you guys can try it out. And if you don't love it, you can send it back and get a full refund. By the way, maybe you should talk to your manager about like a return shipping guarantee. I've done that a couple of times where I personally told my customers, like, and tell you what, Ms. Jones, if you really don't love it, I'll flip the shipping on the way back. Like I will Venmo you $30 or whatever it costs to put the homemaker back in the box and mail it back to the factory. Talk to your manager about that. That's maybe something you do, maybe something you don't. But I've only had to do that like once. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I don't care, because the other 15 customers that bought Cutco because they felt comfortable knowing that I was going to take care of that for them, they knew that I was there to serve them. So again, if you haven't written that down, you buying Cutco today, the value is 10 times better than anything I could ever tell you. It's 100 times better than anything you could ever tell your husband. Because the amount of value that the husband's going to be able to get fraction-wise is not going to be there for him. All right, 6 Cutco myths. All right, let me tell you about the myths really quick. As far as the myth goes, I wouldn't use all those knives. We'll do a better demo. Cutco's too expensive. Not really. Customers don't have the money. By the way, a couple of these are symptoms of doing a better presentation. A couple of them are just like when really cute girls turn down guys. Right? Are they really too busy? No. You just didn't show them enough value in you. Right? Are they really hanging out with their friends? No. They're just not, the value is not right there for them. By the way, any girl for that matter. You get the idea though. So it's like customers are the same thing. Okay, it's like, well, we just don't have the money. Okay, what else are they gonna say? No, I don't want Cutco, I don't eat food. They're gonna give you excuses. Your job is to not let those seeds get planted in your mind and to stay confident. Because sometimes customers will plant like these little seeds. They're like, oh, well, we just can't afford it because of this, this, and this. And you're like, oh my gosh, I'm afraid to ask because they've got all these things going on. No, just bad seed. Don't worry about it. Okay, dropping down is not too pushy. They'll buy later. You understand these, but these, notice that they're myths and that they have good knives. You know, they don't. So it's just being confident as you're dropping down and continually asking for the order until you find the right price to value. But these are just easy excuses that all customers, not just Cutco customers, that all customers in the consumer world go to just kind of, you know, step side salespeople. And that's okay. Your job is just to continue offering them until you find the right price value. All right. Some nitty gritty. Your job is to get an order, by the way. You'll notice that we got Brian Johnson here, got 44 orders in 13 days. Only one of them was over $1,000. So what? He closed on like 85% of all of his presentations. And he did an excellent job. Your job is to get an order. I don't care what you sell, but if you're consistently getting big orders, small orders during the push, you are going to have an excellent presentation. All right, questions and phrases that pay. As you're dropping down, customer tells you it's too much. Is that a little too much or a lot too much, Mrs. Jones? Write that down. Is that a little too much or a lot too much? And you like Cutco, right, Mrs. Jones? Cool. What was your favorite part about Cutco? And she sells herself back on Cutco by telling you that, by the way. Another question. If I could give you my rock bottom deal, would you go ahead and get it today? Would you go ahead and get that option today? And then if they still say no, hey, no worries. By the way, show them the rock bottom deal anyway. A lot of times they'll be like, well, what's the rock bottom deal? Then you're close. Can I show you another option that I think would be a better fit for you based on what you're telling me? What you're telling me, can I show you another option? They're like, oh yeah, if you think there's a better option for me, then that's great. So here's how to close on the wish list that Faith just built. Ready? Here's a couple of steps. Now I'm going to blow your mind with this, and we're going to spend, alliance meetings working with this. So just understand that. So if you don't get this right away, that's okay. Here's the basic idea, though.
Be on at 7 a.m.
That's right. Yeah, be on at 7 a.m. I'll probably be teaching this 3 or 4 times during the alliance meetings. At least that's what we did in my alliance meetings in the past. Nick just got really good at this. Okay. Here's what you do. Faith just built a list with Emily. Right? Built a list. By the way, building that wish list, if I ever built a wish list that was like less than $2,000, I wasn't doing my job the right way. Honestly. But, at least over $1,000, right? $1,000 in things that Mrs. Jones wanted to add to her set. You're going to take the total price of items that you have, and you're going to give about 20 to 25% of that total price for free. Then, that's not the only part. Then you need to double check the bonus points to make sure that it works. So for example, if you had $1,000 list, you're going to find about $200 of that list to give for free. Maybe give a petite carver and a pair of super shears. Well, comes out to be like $230. Then you're going to take whatever's left over. In this case, in this example, it's $800 of retail. You're going to take the bonus point value of $800 because that's what they're actually buying, not the bonus point value of the total thing, but the bonus point value of what they're actually purchasing, and make sure that the items that you guessed that you could give for free fit within the bonus point budget of $800. And in this case, it would be 160 bonus points. A couple things to remember, just a side note here, things to never give for free. Blocks are terrible to give for free. Cookware, never give that for free. Most everything else is probably okay. There's a couple other things. Garden tools are pretty good to give for free too. But we can have another conversation about like what's the best stuff to give for free, but just avoid blocks at all costs. All right, so here's an example. I didn't have Faith's on the slide, but let me give you an example of a list here.
Jesse,
yeah.
Let's save this for like literally we can do it tomorrow at the meeting. This slide, and we can rehash. Just because we're supposed to end in 2 minutes, and I'll probably take 7 just for my wrap up.
Oh, that's true.
Would that be okay if you go with your, like, I don't know, skip this one, but let's go to like your next 2 or 3, like you have like one slide that has like, yeah, this is great. And then I think you have one more slide, right? Yeah, something like that.
Okay, cool. Yeah, let me cover this in the next 30 minutes.
Yeah.
We'll talk about how to drop down using the wish list, which is one of the most important skills that you can learn. So be on the alliance meeting tomorrow. Why did you sell when you started, by the way? Because you followed the program. Number one, because you called your manager. Some of you haven't been calling your managers for deals enough, and that's why your closing percentage sucks. Straight up, lovingly, by the way. So stop, call your manager. Like, we can still help you with those things. Like, we've barely imparted upon you like 2 to maybe 5% of everything that we know about selling Cutco, and then you take all your managers collectively. Oh my goodness, we got a lot of Cutco knowledge. Also, your past demos didn't taint your expectations moving forward. So during this push, I want you to view this as a fresh set of customers, a fresh opportunity. Who cares what happened in the other demos you've done before? And number one, you sold a lot more Cutco when you were brand new because you did a lot more demos, and then you like phased out of demos. So now you have a lot more demos in front of you. You are going to be selling more Cutco, especially when you're partnering with your manager. And the best service that you can provide is a good close, said someone sometime, I'm assuming. And what I mean by that is, like, I can't tell you how many times as a representative that I went around to customers' houses and I upgraded them from 3, 5, 6 pieces even, like that were in trays or whatever, or a starter set when they should have gotten a homemaker set in the first place. But the representative was too unconfident to help the customer and just be confident enough to say, hey, Mrs. Jones, you like that one. Why don't you just get it? Or why don't you just go ahead and do that? And it's okay, like, to tell them, like, hey, I think that this would be the best set for you. What do you think? And if it's a budget thing, that's fine. Sell them a starter set. But your confidence, your customers are going to be able to feel that. So in review, it's about your confidence. It's about clarity, writing down prices, and it's about serving the customer and having that mindset. And that is my talk. So thank you for being here, and I'll turn that back over to Phil.
All right, let's give him a hand. Thank you so much, Jesse. That was awesome. That was an hour-long message. Am I sharing screens? Okay, there we go. That was literally like an hour-long message that I could have listened to, you know, for an hour. Like, you did a great job, and we will share more of that, as is always the case. We're always going to talk. I would say 75% of the alliance meetings were